Something sinister was living in my old house. I inherited a small home in the countryside from my parents. It's the place where I grew up, a one-story house built in the middle of nowhere, just off a lonely stretch of highway. My father had inherited the land from his own parents, and our family built the house right in the center of that vast, quiet space. A thick ring of forest surrounds the property, and back then, it felt safe. Isolated, but safe. No people, no traffic, no predators. I lived in that house until my 20s, then moved away to pursue my career. My parents have since passed on, and now at 45, the house belongs to me. I built my life in the city. I met my wife there. We married, bought a home, and adopted a dog named Kiwi. I mostly live in the city now, but I could never bring myself to sell the old house. Not because it's worth much. In fact, it's not. But because of what it means to me. That house is full of memories. My father planting vegetables in the yard. My mother reading bedtime stories in the living room and carrying me to bed when I fell asleep. Us cooking meals together, laughing, living. Every time I visit, those moments come back like whispers in the walls. I still go back to clean it once a month. Sometimes I hire a cleaner, sometimes I do it myself. And occasionally, when my wife and I want to get away from the city, we spend the weekend there. Because it's surrounded by nature, small animals occasionally get inside, squirrels mostly. One time we even found a squirrel nest in the attic. I figured they'd found some crack in the roof or vents. But I didn't mind. As long as they didn't destroy anything, I could share the space with some harmless wildlife. One afternoon, while I was at the gym, I got a phone call from the cleaner I'd hired. He sounded uneasy. He told me something had gotten into the house, said the bathroom was a mess and that I should come see it for myself before he cleaned it. I had some free time, so after one last set on the bench press, I drove down to the old house. As soon as I stepped through the door, I could smell it, a foul, rancid stench drifting from the bathroom. It smelled like something had thrown up bile, pungent, thick. When we reached the bathroom, I saw it, a dark brownish black pile of slime in the corner. It looked partially solid, wet, like it had come from something sick. The cleaner pointed up. There was a hole in the ceiling above the mess. We figured something had gotten into the roof. Maybe a feral cat or raccoon fell through the ceiling and puked. He suggested I get the house inspected, and I agreed. The following weekend, my wife was traveling with a friend, so I had the weekend to myself. I thought, why not take Kiwi and spend some time at my parents' house? I could meet with the roofing contractor and relax at the same time. The roofer showed up in the morning while I was walking Kiwi near the edge of the forest. When I got back, he told me he'd found a few broken roof tiles and replaced them. He also said he'd discovered something in the attic. He brought it down to show me. 2 eggs, large, yellowish, about the size of goose eggs, but more elongated, oval. They were heavier than they looked, with a hard, thick shell, speckled brown and cold to the touch. He couldn't identify them, neither could I. I tried shining a flashlight through one, but the shell was completely opaque. I snapped a photo and sent it to the local pest control service, asking for identification. It was the weekend, so I didn't expect an immediate reply. In the meantime, I set the eggs on a table in the living room so I could show it to them when they got back to me. It was already past 6 p.m. I headed into town to grab some groceries, leaving Kiwi at the house. When I returned, Kiwi was on edge, ears up, tail low, staring into the backyard forest. I managed to sneak up on her, which was unusual. Normally, she'd hear me before I reached the door. But the moment she saw me, she perked up, ran over, and greeted me like always. I made dinner, fed her, and spent some time searching online for eggs that looked like the ones in the attic. Nothing matched. Eventually, I gave up. Maybe it was a rare bird. I pulled out a blanket, sat on the old family sofa, and curled up with Kiwi. That couch had been there since I was a kid. The same couch where my mom used to read to me, where my dad drank his morning coffee. It still smelled like them. I must have fallen asleep. Click, click, click. A soft, deliberate sound echoed through the house. I opened my eyes. Kiwi wasn't beside me. I sat up and called out, "Kiwi, where are you?" Click, click, click. It came again. I thought maybe she was scratching at something. Curious. I followed the sound to the bathroom. Click, click, click. I paused. The sound wasn't coming from the floor. It was coming from the ceiling. A chilling thought struck me. Whatever laid those eggs had come back. Then came a heavy clank, followed by a thud. Something had landed in the attic. I stepped carefully into the bathroom. Kiwi was already there, staring up at the ceiling, dead still. "Kiwi?" She didn't respond. Her eyes never left the tiles overhead. Then came a long scrape. Nails, claws. Something large was dragging itself across the attic floor toward us. My heart pounded. I grabbed a broom from the corner, just in case. Suddenly, with a loud crack, 3 long black claws tore through the ceiling. With a single swipe, the roof gave way, and then something looked through the hole. Kiwi let out a warning bark. The creature screeched in reply, loud, guttural, and leapt down. It landed with a thunderous thud. I didn't even look. I dropped the broom, grabbed Kiwi, and ran. I wasn't going to let her fight something that big. As I reached the living room, I felt a sharp pain shoot through my leg. I collapsed. It had bitten me. My ankle snapped in its jaws like dry wood. I screamed. Kiwi leapt from my arms and attacked. She lunged at the creature, sinking her teeth into its neck. The thing bucked violently, tossing her across the room. She slammed into a shelf. In the moonlight, I saw it fully for the first time. It was the size of a Komodo dragon, maybe 8 feet long. Its skin was black and reflective, like wet stone. 4 thick, muscular limbs, a tail like a whip, and its face. It had no eyes, just scarred over sockets where eyes should have been. Its snout was long, with a brutal underbite. Huge yellow fangs jutted from both upper and lower jaws. This wasn't a wild animal. This was something else. It turned back toward Kiwi and pinned her under its weight. I had to act. I looked around and grabbed the closest thing, a laptop. I limped forward, teeth clenched against the pain, and smashed it into the creature's head. It screeched, staggered, and reared up. I struck again, hard against its exposed neck. It backed off just enough. I grabbed Kiwi. My hands came away wet. She was bleeding badly. I held her tight and crawled toward the store. Behind us, the creature steadied itself. It wasn't injured, just stunned. But then, it paused. It opened its mouth and let out a long, raspy clicking sound as it crept forward. Then I realized it didn't have eyes. It was using echolocation. It had lost us. I held my breath. Kiwi was silent too, still pressed against my chest. The creature sniffed. then turned away, toward the egg. It opened its jaws and vomited a thick, black fluid over it. Then its tongue, long, thin, and trembling, gently curled around the shell and pulled it into its mouth. Then slowly, it crawled back into the bathroom. We heard it climb into the ceiling, then silence. I waited for what felt like hours. Then, a soft leap from the roof. The bushes rustled, footsteps faded into the forest. Only then did I crawl to my phone and call for help. Paramedics and animal control arrived about an hour later. They treated my injuries and tended to Kiwi. Animal control collected samples of the black fluid and began investigating. A week later, they contacted me. They said the creature may be an unidentified species. I told them everything I saw. They wrote it all down but didn't say much. They found shed skin in the attic, suggesting it had been nesting. As for the black substance, they believed it was a scent marker, helping it find its eggs. But they couldn't identify the species, couldn't say where it came from. Me and Kiwi recovered after a month. I was lucky, no permanent damage. Kiwi had some muscle tears, but she bounced back. As for the laptop I used to hit it, yeah, it was completely destroyed, but it was worth it. It saved both me and Kiwi, but I couldn't shake the feeling. That house was my home, my memories, my family. I couldn't let that thing come back. So I made a decision. I cleaned up what I could and had the house demolished. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I wasn't going to let it make a nest where my mother once read me stories.